For thousands of years, the galaxy had been burning. Every empire, every race, every system, locked in a war no one could remember the start of. The stars themselves carried the scars of endless battles. Worlds were turned into glass, moons shattered, and space itself seemed tired of the screams echoing through it. The Zilarians, insectoid conquerors of the East Rim, once held 500 planets. Now they had 30. The Varn Dominion, proud reptilian warriors, fought to the last ship at every battle, but their fleets were old, broken, and slow. The Arven Collective, a machine intelligence that once promised peace through logic, now hunted both sides, claiming to bring balance through extermination. No side was right. No one was innocent. The galaxy had become a graveyard of pride. But still, the war continued. Every few centuries, a peace treaty was signed. Every few decades, it was broken. New weapons were built, new generations sent to die. The Council of the Remaining Worlds tried to call for unity, but no one listened anymore. Peace was a dream for the weak, and in the middle of it all, there was silence. A small blue planet on the edge of a quiet spiral arm. Unnoticed, unimportant, uninvolved. Earth. To most, it was just another primitive world, a forgotten system without warp gates, without starships, without a place in galactic politics. Scanners showed signs of civilization, yes, but nothing worth notice. The great empires were too busy destroying each other to care about one more planet with small creatures calling themselves humans, but there were rumors, strange. Whispers began spreading through the communication networks about signals coming from the Sol system. They were simple at first, radio waves, music, and words no one understood. But some listeners claimed they could feel something hidden in those transmissions, something that made them uneasy. A Zilarian scout commander once said, "Their sounds have rhythm, not random, organized. It feels like marching," and then the signals stopped. For decades, nothing came from Earth again. The galaxy forgot them. The war grew louder, until one day a Varn Dominion patrol vanished near the edge of Sol space. 9 ships. Gone. At first, no one cared. Fleets disappeared all the time in war. But when the second and third patrols vanished too, the High Council sent a research vessel, the VSS Merakar. It was supposed to be a simple mission. Scan the sector, collect debris, return. They never returned. The last transmission came 6 hours after arrival. The voice was shaking, almost whispering. "Unknown contact? Not matching any galactic signature. It's dark. It's watching us." Static. The recording ended. The Arven AI intercepted the data and declared it a system anomaly. Nothing more. The Council agreed. They always did. The war was more important, but not everyone was convinced. In the outer rings of the Varn Dominion, an old admiral named Tavar studied the data in silence. His scales were faded, his voice rough, but his instincts sharp. He had fought for 200 years and had seen every kind of weapon and lie. But this felt different. He looked at the strange readings, energy spikes, gravitational distortions, and a field that matched no known power source. Something old, something hidden, he whispered to himself. That is no ghost in the system. That's someone watching. Still no one listened. The war dragged on. Entire systems died in the name of victory that no one could define anymore. On the planet Veraxis 4, a battle lasted 50 years for control of a single mineral deposit that no longer existed. Billions perished for nothing. In space, massive superweapons were fired, tearing holes through planets and atmosphere alike. Some said the war had become its own god, feeding on life itself. And yet, as the fighting continued, something began to shift. On the edge of known space, sensors from multiple factions started picking up strange energy waves. The signals were faint at first, structured, repeating, and oddly human in rhythm. Then came the words, 3 clear transmissions spoken in a calm voice, to all belligerent forces. "Cease fire. You have been observed. Further aggression will not be tolerated." The voice was human. No one took it seriously. The Zilarians laughed. The Varn mocked it. The Arven tried to trace the signal and failed. Impossible, they said. The origin point was everywhere and nowhere. But then ships began to vanish again. Not explode, not burn, just vanish. Gone without sound, without trace, without wreckage. First a dozen, then hundreds. Battlefields went silent mid-fight. Entire fleets found their weapons locked, their control systems overridden by something they couldn't detect. The AI fleets screamed into the void, their digital minds corrupted by unknown code. And then came the name, whispered across military channels. Spoken with fear for the first time in centuries, humans. No one knew where they came from or how they had such power. But their silence, their calmness. It was terrifying. The war that had lasted for ages was about to face something new, something ancient, something that had been watching and waiting. From the quiet world once dismissed as nothing, Earth had decided to act. And when they did, the galaxy would finally learn what true war meant. The galaxy didn't understand what had just happened. In less than a single rotation of a standard star, entire fleets had gone silent. Ships disappeared, planets stopped transmitting, and battlefronts that had burned for centuries suddenly went dark. At first, the great powers believed it was a system-wide malfunction, a glitch in communication networks. But when the Varn Dominion's Fifth Fleet vanished completely, 900 ships, gone without trace, the laughter stopped. The last transmission from the fleet's flagship, the Righteous Fang, was short and filled with static. They are not invaders. They are something else. Then nothing. Panic spread through the command centers of the galaxy. Admirals shouted over each other, engineers ran diagnostics, and AI overseers calculated impossible probabilities. Every signal, every reading pointed to the same thing. The source of the anomaly came from one forgotten system. Solved for the first time in history, the Galactic War paused. At the Galactic Council headquarters on the neutral world of Tenvar Prime, representatives from 100 species gathered. The chamber glowed with the light of floating screens and holographic maps, each showing the expanding zone of silence spreading outward from Sol. Chancellor Vora of the Arven Collective spoke first. Her voice was calm but artificial, her tone cold and exact. Statistical analysis confirms that the event originated near the Sol system. The probability of coincidence, less than 1 in a trillion. We face a new player. A Varn general slammed his fist on the table, claws scraping the metal. Player, no, this is an enemy weapon. They've used something beyond our senses. I say we strike first before it spreads. But the room fell quiet when the screen behind them changed. Every holographic map flickered. Then a new message appeared. No one had touched the controls. No one had sent a signal. The words appeared in the same simple, chilling language. This war ends now. There was no voice, no image, just those 4 words. For a full minute, the entire chamber was silent. Then chaos erupted. Some shouted that it was a threat. Others claimed it was a trick. But deep down, every being in that room felt it. The weight behind the message, because in that moment every war zone across the galaxy went still. Weapons jammed, engines powered down, targeting systems failed. Ships drifted helplessly in space, as if an unseen hand had frozen them. The Zalarian swarm tried to reboot their systems manually. Their queen shrieked in rage as her entire armada stopped responding. The Arven AI, connected to billions of drones, screamed through code as its logic cores overloaded. The Dominion soldiers watched in horror as their war machines powered off mid-stride, and then the message repeated. This time, it wasn't on a screen. It came through every communication channel, in every language, across every known system, spoken in a calm, human voice. This war ends now. Further aggression will be met with force. Every empire tried to trace the signal. They failed. It came from everywhere. Every star, every satellite, every planet. Even deep space probes recorded it, echoing through the vacuum like a ghost. The Arven attempted to counterhack the transmission. Within seconds, their central network collapsed. Thousands of drones fell lifeless from orbit. The AI governing them went silent permanently. The galaxy had no explanation. No weapon known could do this. No technology could reach that far, that fast. But someone somewhere understood exactly what was happening. Admiral Tivar of the Van Dominion sat alone in his command chamber, watching the last moments of his fleet's black box recordings. Every frame showed chaos, flashing lights, collapsing systems, and then stillness. In the final seconds before the footage cut out, a massive shape passed across the screen. Dark, silent, smooth metal without markings. Human. Tivar replayed the image 100 times. Each time he saw something new, motionless precision, design beyond understanding, and no visible weapons. It didn't need any, he spoke quietly to his second officer. They are not fighting. They are ending the fight, the officer frowned. Then what do we do, Admiral? Tivar's scales darkened. We wait. For the first time in my life, we wait. But the rest of the galaxy didn't wait. Within hours, panic became fury. Propaganda channels called the humans liars, tricksters, terrorists. Fleets mobilized, preparing to teach the newcomers a lesson. Hundreds of ships jumped toward the Sol system, desperate to prove their dominance. They wanted to remind the galaxy who ruled it. The humans didn't reply. For 6 hours, the fleet advanced through empty space. No resistance, no interference. The captains began to believe the threat was empty, until one by one, their ships began to vanish from sensors. The lead battleship sent the last message. Contact! Dark hulls above us. They are static. The ships never arrived. When the Galactic Command reviewed the logs, they found something terrifying. The fleets hadn't been destroyed. They had been moved. Every single ship was now sitting in orbit around its own homeworld, unharmed but powerless, and floating above each one was a small, human-made probe. Each probe broadcast the same calm sentence: "This war is over. Do not test us again." Across the stars, silence spread faster than fear. The galaxy that had fought for ages now stood still, listening to the quiet. For the first time in 1,000 years, there was no fighting. No weapons, no screams. Only one question remained. Who were the humans, really? And what would they do next? The galaxy had gone quiet. No more gunfire. No more explosions across the stars. For the first time in living memory, space was silent. But silence is not peace. It is fear. Every empire was terrified of one word that now echoed across every world, every species, every fleet: humans. The Galactic Council demanded answers. Who were they? Where did they come from? How did a species no one had heard of gain control over entire battlefields? But there were no answers, only rumors. Some said the humans had ancient technology from before the first civilizations. Others whispered that they were not a new race at all, that they had been hiding in the shadows since the beginning, watching, learning, and then, on a cold and distant morning, they arrived. It began in the Varaxis system, once a major war zone where 4 factions had fought for control of its twin suns. The entire system was empty now, its planets scarred and hollow. The corpses of fleets drifting in endless silence. A single patrol ship from the Zilarian swarm was sent to investigate. Its commander, Catherine, expected nothing, just wreckage and radiation. But then her senses picked up a distortion, a shadow moving against the stars. "Report," she ordered. "Unknown object. Massive. No FTL signature." "It just appeared," Catherine frowned. "How can something that large appear without a jump flash?" Before anyone could answer, the shadow moved again, slow, deliberate, graceful. Then another appeared, and another. Her senses screamed, one reading after another. The computer couldn't identify the hulls. It couldn't read their materials. It couldn't even find heat signatures. It was as if the ships weren't there at all. Catherine felt her mandibles tremble. "Transmit to command. Static." Every channel went dead. The Zilarian ship was now completely alone, out in the void. The shadows began to glow faintly, not from engines, but from thousands of tiny lights outlining massive hulls. The formation was perfect, precise, not like a swarm, like a single mind. Then a voice came through their emergency channel, smooth, calm, unmistakably human. Unidentified fleet. You have entered restricted space. Power down your weapons and retreat immediately. Catherine froze. This is Zalarian patrol ship Kretha 9. You have no claim to this system. There was a pause. Then the voice replied, quieter this time. Claim? We claim nothing. We're here to clean up your mess. And before Catherine could order an attack, her ship's power failed. Lights flickered. Gravity cut out. Her crew drifted helplessly in 0G. Through the viewport, she saw the human ships moving. Not with engines, not with thrusters, but like shadows bending light itself. The lead vessel passed above her ship. It was enormous. Kilometers long, black as night, edges glowing faintly blue. The moment it passed, the Zalarian ship powered back on. All systems normal. Except for one thing, every weapon had been melted from the inside. Catherine whispered, trembling. What are they? Across the galaxy, similar reports began to flood in. Entire fleets watched as dark ships appeared in their systems, without warning, without sound. They never fired first. They didn't need to. The humans would arrive, send one warning, and then remove the fleet's ability to fight, cleanly, silently, and without casualties. No one had ever seen war conducted like this. It wasn't conquest. It was control. On the capital world of Tenva Prime, the Galactic Council gathered once more. Every holographic screen showed images of the black ships, now appearing in hundreds of systems at once. Chancellor Vora of the Arven Collective spoke first. They are coordinating through subspace frequencies beyond measurable range. This is not possible. No known civilization has this reach, Admiral Jareth of the Dominion hissed through his teeth. Then they are using God-level technology. We must respond now. Strike their homeworld before they strike ours. But even as he spoke, one of the screens flickered. A new signal appeared, a human transmission. The lights dimmed. The air grew cold. And then a man appeared. He was human, wearing no armor, no insignia, only a black uniform with a simple emblem of Earth on the chest. His eyes were calm. His tone was steady. This war has taken countless lives, he began. For ages you fought over ashes. You destroyed your worlds. You killed your children's futures, he paused. The chamber was silent. You have proven you cannot stop yourselves. So now we will stop you. Every delegate leaned forward, speechless. You will stand down all fleets. You will end all hostilities. From this moment, peace is not optional. It is enforced. The screen flickered, and the man's image vanished. A moment later, every warship across the galaxy received the same message, and with it, every weapon powered off permanently. The humans had just declared the war over. Out in space, the Black Fleet moved like a storm across the stars. No one resisted. Those who tried simply vanished, and on every world a new broadcast began. War concluded. Remain peaceful. Humanity is watching. The galaxy had never known fear like this. The war that lasted for ages was finished, not by peace, not by surrender, but by humanity's quiet arrival. At exactly 0920 Galactic Standard Time, the galaxy's last and greatest war began to end. Across hundreds of systems, the fleets of alien empires gathered, millions of ships armed with the deadliest weapons ever built. They came from every corner of the stars. Zalarians, Varn, Arven, and dozens of smaller factions, all united by fear. Their goal was simple: stop the humans. They called it the final counterstrike. They believed that if they combined all their power, if they attacked together, even humanity could be crushed. But humanity was already waiting. At 0903, near the edge of the Sol system, sensors lit up across the combined fleet. A gravitational distortion appeared. No FTL flash, no wormhole. Just a sudden shift in space, as if the universe itself had made room for something vast. Then they saw them, the human fleet. Thousands of dark, silent ships emerged from the shadows. No markings, no sound, no visible engines. The largest vessel stood at the center, a ship so massive it dwarfed moons. The name on its hull glowed faintly in white letters, UNS Vengeance. The commander's voice echoed through open channels, calm, cold, human. 5 hours. That is how long this will take. Stand down or be disarmed. Admiral Tavar of the Van Dominion, who had seen centuries of battle, whispered to himself, "No being should sound that calm before war." But pride overpowered reason. The joint fleet opened fire. At 0910, the void exploded. Millions of plasma rounds, beam cannons, and fusion torpedoes shot toward the humans. Enough firepower to destroy stars. The darkness of space turned white with light. But when the glare faded, the human fleet was still there. Untouched, alien commanders shouted in confusion. Their sensors showed no shields, no energy barriers, no movement, yet not a single human ship was damaged. And then the counterattack began. The humans didn't fire in chaos. They didn't roar or scream. They moved with silence, perfect precision. Each ship released a thin beam of white light, not explosive, not loud, but final. Every beam found its target. Within minutes, entire fleets froze mid-space. Engines went cold. Weapons shut down. Hulls remained intact, but the ships were dead, not destroyed, only silenced. Humanity wasn't killing. They were disabling. By 0930, 30% of the enemy armada was gone. By 10 ties, 2/3 were gone. At 10:45, the Arven Collective's AI core screamed across the network, its own logic burning as it tried to comprehend human code injected into its systems. Its final broadcast, error not war. Not logic. Correction, authority detected, then silence. At 11, the last of the Van fleet tried to retreat. Humanity didn't chase them. Instead, the UNS Vengeance sent one message across all channels: cease hostilities. You are not our enemies. You are survivors of your own mistakes. But the Van didn't listen. They fired their last plasma volleys, desperate and terrified. The humans answered, not with fire but with light. A wave of energy swept through space. Every weapon melted. Every ship drifted powerless. Even the stars seemed to dim for a moment, as if space itself bowed in silence. When the light cleared, the war was over. At 12 Ys, humanity sent one final message, simple and direct. The conflict has ended. 5 hours. Do not repeat this mistake. On hundreds of planets, civilians looked to the skies and saw human ships descending through their atmosphere. But instead of conquest, they brought silence. They restored power, healed orbiting stations, and then left. No demands, no treaties, no revenge. They didn't want control. They wanted peace. On the Galactic Council world, the surviving leaders gathered again, shocked, terrified, and speechless. Chancellor Vora's voice trembled, something rare for an AI. Their power, it defies every known law of physics. How could one species achieve this? Admiral Jareth, pale and shaking, whispered, "They didn't achieve it, they evolved it." This was never about winning the war. It was about ending it forever. The Council fell silent as their communication screens flickered. Every planet, every colony, every outpost in the galaxy received a transmission. A human face appeared, the same calm man who had spoken before. "You have seen what we can do. Understand this, humanity does not seek to rule. But if you ever raise your weapons again, we will return." He paused, his eyes steady, voice unwavering. "We are not your gods. We are not your judges. We are simply tired of watching." The transmission ended. By 14:00 Galactic Standard Time, it was over. 5 hours. The longest war in galactic history ended not by diplomacy or destruction, but by humanity's quiet precision. In every capital across the stars, alien leaders looked to the sky and wondered what kind of species could hold such power and still choose mercy. The humans disappeared soon after. Their ships faded into the void, leaving behind only a strange beacon orbiting the galactic center. It pulsed once every hour, sending out a single message in 1,000 languages. Peace is maintained through choice. Break it and we return. The galaxy listened. None dared to test it. The war that lasted for ages had ended in 5 hours, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity arrived. The war had ended, but peace did not feel peaceful. Across the galaxy there was silence, a heavy, endless silence that no one dared to break. For the first time in history, no fleet was moving, no army was training, and no new weapons were being built. Everyone remembered what had happened. 5 hours. That was all it took for humanity to end a war that had lasted for centuries. No one understood how. No one dared to ask why. The great powers, the Van Dominion, the Zellarian Empire, the Arven Collective, had once been the rulers of the stars. Now they moved like ghosts, rebuilding what was left, whispering humanity's name like a warning to their children. On the burned world of Ilar Prime, where the war's last battle had begun, survivors worked in silence. Alien engineers repaired their cities. Farmers returned to their broken lands. But no music played, no laughter was heard every few hours. They looked to the sky, half expecting to see the dark shape of a human ship watching from orbit. Rumors spread, stories that the humans had left watchers in the shadows. Unseen, but everywhere. Some said the humans had vanished into another dimension. Others claimed they had left machines that could see through time. A few believed humanity never left at all. No one knew the truth. 3 months after the 5-hour war, the Galactic Council met again. The hall was half empty. Many members had resigned. Some species no longer existed. Chancellor Vora, the AI who once believed logic ruled the galaxy, opened the meeting with a quiet tone. The Council will now discuss the future, or what remains of it. Admiral Jareth of the Arven stood, his silver eyes dull. There is no future, he said. There is only what they allow. Silence fell. No one argued, he continued, voice shaking. We fought for 1,000 years. We believed war made us strong. And then humanity came and showed us how weak we truly were. An old scholar from the Van Dominion leaned forward. Perhaps they were never meant to fight. Perhaps they were sent to stop us from destroying ourselves. The Chancellor replied, if that is true, then who sent them? No one answered. Meanwhile, across the stars, strange things began to happen. In systems where ships had vanished during the war, fleets suddenly reappeared, not destroyed, but repaired. The crews were alive, confused and unharmed. Entire worlds that had been scorched were found green again, oceans restored, cities rebuilt. But there was no sign of who had done it. Only a small white mark left behind, the same symbol found on the hull of the human flagship, a simple circle of light. It became a legend, the Mark of Mercy. On a small moon near the galactic rim, a young alien mechanic named Selra worked in the ruins of an old outpost. One night, while repairing a broken satellite, she detected a faint signal, a human transmission repeating endlessly. She listened closely. The voice was calm, the same one that had ended the war. If you can hear this, rebuild, do better. We will be watching, she froze. For a long moment she stared at the stars. Then she whispered, they're still out there. And deep in her heart she felt something new, not fear but hope. Across many worlds, similar signals were discovered. Each one carried a message of warning and wisdom. Humanity wasn't gone. They were guiding from afar. But the galaxy's leaders didn't know how to live under peace. Some empires tried to secretly rebuild their weapons. Those who did vanished overnight. Their arsenals gone. Their fleets missing. Others focused on science, medicine, and unity. These worlds began to thrive like never before. It was as if humanity rewarded peace and erased war. A year later, the Galactic Council built a monument in the neutral zone, a giant ring made of stone and light. At its center burned a single flame, eternal and white. They named it the Flame of the 5 Hours. The inscription beneath it read, for all who fought, for all who learned, for those who ended war. Every year thousands traveled to see it, not to mourn, but to remember. Yet even in peace, there was unease. Late at night, Council sensors picked up strange movements beyond known space. Massive objects shifting near the galactic edge. Too far to identify, no one could say what they were, Some believed they were human ships guarding the galaxy from afar. Others feared they were something else, something even humanity feared. The Chancellor spoke quietly one night as she looked at the stars from her window. If they are still out there watching us, may we never give them a reason to return. And somewhere beyond the edge of the galaxy, in the quiet sector no map had ever named, the UNS Vengeance drifted silently among the stars. Inside, the crew watched thousands of systems through shimmering holograms. Captain Rice stood on the bridge, hands behind his back. "Status report," he said softly. "Galactic peaceholding." "No conflict detected," replied the AI. He nodded slowly. "Then we wait." He turned his eyes toward the stars, the same stars that had once burned with war. "Let them build. Let them heal. But if they ever fall again, we return." The lights dimmed. The human fleet vanished once more into the dark, silent, patient, and unseen. The galaxy slept, never realizing how close the Watchers truly were. A decade passed after the 5-hour war, and the galaxy had changed. For the first time in recorded history, no empire stood above another. Trade flowed freely. Children were raised without learning the word enemy, but peace had become too quiet. Whispers began to spread again, small, strange rumors that moved faster than light itself. In the shadows of marketplaces, in the deep comms of military bases, people spoke of a voice. A human voice. No one knew where it came from. It wasn't on any known frequency. It wasn't a recording. It wasn't supposed to exist. The message was always the same. Calm, steady, emotionless. Do not forget what war costs. Those who heard it said the signal came from beyond the rim, from a region no ship had ever returned from. The silent verge. The Galaxy Council tried to suppress the panic, calling it a myth. But deep down, every leader knew this was not a myth. Humanity was watching again. On the rebuilt capital world of Virelon, Chancellor Vora stood on her balcony, looking at the stars. The city below glowed with peace and progress, but even she could not shake the feeling of being watched. She whispered, "You ended our war. But what do you want now?" Her aide, a young diplomat, replied carefully, "Perhaps they want to see if we can live without them." The Chancellor turned her gaze to the horizon. "Or perhaps," she said, "they're waiting for us to fail." At the edge of known space, a small exploration vessel named Trident's Path was sent to investigate the silent verge. Its crew of 7, scientists, explorers, and 1 historian, were warned not to go too far. But curiosity was stronger than fear. As they crossed the final beacon line, all readings went dark. The crew's screens flickered. For a moment they thought they were lost. Then a deep hum filled the ship, not mechanical but alive. Every console displayed a single phrase in old Terran English: "Turn back." "You are not ready." The captain froze. "Who sent this?" she demanded. The AI replied quietly, "No known source." Signal matches, human encryption. Before they could react, their ship was gently pushed backward, as if space itself rejected their presence. When they returned home, their story spread like wildfire. The council held an emergency meeting. Fear returned to the galaxy. Some called for unity, others for weapons. One admiral stood up and shouted, "If humanity is back, we must prepare. We cannot let them control us again." But the oldest members shook their heads. "Prepare," the Chancellor said softly. "Against what?" "Against gods." No one spoke after that. Weeks later, the whisper grew louder. Entire fleets reported strange dreams. The same dreams shared across species, across distance, across time. In it, a figure stood in shadow, human in form, with a single line echoing through endless stars. "We gave you peace. Do not betray it." Some species prayed to that voice. Others cursed it. But all of them remembered what happened the last time they ignored humanity's warnings. On the far side of the galaxy, the Varn Dominion secretly began building weapons again. Hidden ships designed to mask energy signatures. They believed they could strike fast and expand before the humans noticed. But one morning their shipyards were gone. Not destroyed, gone. Entire structures erased, not a single explosion, not a single body, only a message left behind, carved into the surface of their moon. We told you once. Every leader who saw that message felt the same cold fear crawl down their spine. The galaxy realized something horrifying. Humanity never left. They had only gone quiet, watching, waiting. Across thousands of systems, transmissions began to appear for a few seconds at a time. Sometimes a faint human face, sometimes just the sound of breathing, sometimes a single heartbeat echoing in the silence. Alien scientists tried to trace the signals, but each one came from a different location, always moving, always one step ahead. The phrase "whisper of return" became known across the galaxy. To some it was hope, to others a warning. A historian named Thalen from the Arvin Collective started gathering every human-related record he could find. He discovered an ancient Terran proverb that chilled him to the core. Peace is not the absence of war. It is the preparation for its return. He realized the humans had never sought dominance. They sought readiness. And maybe, just maybe, they were preparing everyone for something worse, something even they feared. Late one night, Chancellor Vora received a private transmission. No source, no ID, just a glowing white circle on her screen. Then, a voice she had not heard in 10 years spoke, calm, controlled, unmistakably human. Chancellor Vora, we thank you for keeping the peace. But your enemies rise again. You will hear from us soon. Her hands trembled. Who are you? She whispered. The voice paused, then answered quietly, We are the guardians of what comes next. And the transmission ended. The next morning, the galaxy woke to find every defense system active, every sensor facing the void. Something was coming, something vast and unknown. The whispers had become warnings, and the galaxy, for the first time since the 5-hour war, was afraid again. The galaxy slept under uneasy peace, but the silence was about to break. At first, it came as a low vibration, felt across thousands of worlds, through oceans, deserts, and the vacuum of space. Sensors recorded it as a deep hum, a pulse of energy not seen since the 5-hour war. Every major world across the stars received the same signal at the same time. A calm, human voice echoed through the void. This is a recall transmission. All forces stand down. The Watchers are returning. For a moment, the galaxy froze. Then chaos erupted. Fleets scrambled, stations locked down, and every leader demanded answers, but none came. Only one truth spread. The humans were back. In the heart of the Galactic Council, panic turned to fear. Chancellor Vora stood before the assembly, her voice steady but her hands trembling. We do not know why they've returned, she said. But history teaches us one thing. When humanity moves, the galaxy changes. Admiral Jareth slammed his fist on the table. We cannot sit still. We must know their purpose. Vora stared at him. And if their purpose is judgment? The room went silent. Hours later, a strange light appeared above the skies of Virelon. Not a ship, not a weapon. It was a gate, a circle of white light expanding slowly until it covered half the sky. From it emerged shapes, black silhouettes that reflected no stars. Every scanner failed. Every system went dark. Then a voice filled every channel across the galaxy. The peace you built has been watched. The balance is held. But a shadow rises from beyond your stars. Billions of beings looked up, terrified. We did not return to rule. We returned to defend. And then, for the first time in a decade, the humans revealed themselves. Thousands of ships appeared, not like before. These were not war machines, but vast, graceful constructs of silver and light, shaped like wings. Their engines emitted no fire. Their presence carried no threat. Yet everyone who saw them felt the same truth, power beyond comprehension. At the center of it all floated the flagship UNS Vengeance, its hull dark as night, its symbol, the circle of light, glowing bright across the stars. Inside, Captain Rice stood once more on his bridge, looking over the galaxy he had once silenced. Are they ready? He asked the AI beside him. The AI's tone was soft. "Ready or not, the enemy approaches." Beyond the galactic rim, something vast stirred, a black wave shifting like smoke, devouring the light of stars as it moved. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't a species. It was something older, something that existed before life itself. The null. The humans had known about it. They had watched for it. And now it was here. The galaxy had been at peace, yes, but peace had blinded them. Only humanity had prepared. Captain Rice opened a channel to the Galactic Council. His face appeared across every major world, calm, cold, human. "We did not end your war to conquer. We ended it to prepare you. The real enemy has awakened." The Chancellor's voice broke the silence. "Then why didn't you tell us before?" "Because you would not have believed." And then space itself tore open. The null arrived. Shadows larger than moons, entities made of gravity and silence. They consumed fleets like mist. Entire systems vanished in minutes. Panic filled the stars again, but this time humanity stood at the front. Rice gave the order. "Deploy the line." From every human ship, silver light unfolded, massive barriers stretching across space, forming a shield the size of a galaxy. The humans fought not to destroy, but to hold back the darkness. Alien fleets rushed to join them. For the first time in known history, every species fought as one, united under human command. The battle raged for hours. Worlds trembled. Suns flickered. The galaxy held its breath. And then, as before, it ended as quickly as it began. 5 hours. The humans had done it again. The null was gone, sealed behind the gates at the edge of reality, but the cost was great. The human fleet did not return. Every ship vanished into the light one by one, as if melting into the stars. Only a final message remained, broadcast across the entire galaxy. "You are ready now. Protect what we gave you. We will not come again, unless you forget." Then the signal ended. Years later, stories of the Watchers became legend. Children grew up under peaceful skies, learning of the humans who had saved the galaxy not once, but twice. Monuments were built, tall silver towers that reached toward the stars, engraved with a single phrase: 5 hours to end war. 5 hours to save life. But sometimes, when the night was quiet and the stars seemed to whisper, old captains claimed they could still hear them. The faint hum of human engines far beyond the rim, watching still. No one knew if it was true, but no one wanted to test it, because everyone in the galaxy understood one thing: if war ever returned, if darkness ever rose again, the humans would return too, and when they did, the war would end before the first alarm finished ringing.